Ding, ding. What is up, boxing world? This is Boxing Vibez TV. Oh my goodness, what a fight! So I guess you already know what's going to dominate pretty much majority of our conversation. Without much further ado, let me go ahead and introduce the crew. We got Q in the building.
What's good?
We got JD in the building.
You already know it's 8-1 Trey all day.
And we got yours truly, Jay, the moderator of this here madness. Now, JD, we're going to hurry up and skip the pleasantries. Hit us with the pod quote of the day.
All right, and this pod quote of the day is a very timely quote. And there's a lot of people, who were trying to, wait to hear some semblance of a word from Deontay Wilder, since, he didn't really do any immediate interviews right after the fight. But we do have a quote from the Bronze Bomber, and it's very fitting that we start the pod off with this being the pod quote of the day. And here goes the quote from Deontay Wilder after Saturday night. I did my best, but it wasn't good enough. He came to lean on me, try to rough me up, and he succeeded. And that's from the Bronze Bomber, Deontay Wilder. Pod quote of the day.
Hey, you gotta love Deontay Wilder's effort. He had most of what he said right, but he left out a part. So man, let's just go ahead. Oh, wait. One last housekeeping issue. And that's on you, JD. Tell the people what to do.
And you already know, as always, if you're down with the vibes, hit the notification bell and subscribe.
All right. Hey, ain't nothing else. Let's get it. Hey, reactions, just thoughts. What an amazing fight. Q, I know you had a lot to say before. I know you were probably on pins and needles during, like the rest of us. And what did you think after the fight? Go ahead and
the initial after the fight, I think everybody had a hangover, from expectations and just for everything that happened. It really take a couple of days after something like that to really settle down and really look at it. And I feel like a lot of people sort of, in my opinion, it was an amazing fight, bro. That was our generation's, I feel like that's one of the best heavyweight fights of our time, of the recent generation with this group of heavyweights we have now, and that's one for the books, man. And, I'm going to say, I told you so as far as how we talked about nobody, it was like, anybody really want to see it. When the fight got made, it was just too much buildup. It was too much tension in between the parties and things. And once this fight got made, man, when it happened, it lived up to all the hype. I will say that. I was a little disappointed, in the outcome, but you can't really be disappointed when you're a boxing fan and you get a great fight like that, man. It was amazing, I just feel like, and just like what we said with our predictions, JD, we talked about the time it takes with a new trainer and everything. And you was like, it takes several, take more, whatever, because after the 8th round or something. And I said, well, you get hit with something or something happened to you where you get rattled, you're going to go to survival, because he came in, the Bronze Bomber came in, executing the game plan, jabbing to the body and being very methodical with his movement and everything, moving his head. And then, after a few rounds, man, and then, well, in particular, the 3rd round, once he got caught, and man, I thought it was over. I just held my head low, yo. That's why it was so amazing. The 4th round, when he came in, when he caught Fury with those two knockdowns, I thought it was over then. I'm like, especially the 2nd one, I thought it was over. Looking into his eyes, look at him looking up, and it just took forever, and we ain't gonna get enough. I'm not gonna get into all of that, but it's a whole lot to say about that, but. I think for the outcome of the fight, man, I feel like Fury deserves his roses at this point. He's, in my opinion, he's the best heavyweight of our era right now until proven otherwise. I really feel like nobody's gonna beat Tyson Fury. It's not a gimme because it's still other fight to be made. But I feel as of right now with what he brings to the table, man, and another thing, I just feel like a lot of people were so hard on Wilder, as far as it's like, I don't know what people's expectation was for real, because he wasn't going to be Mayweather this fight. He wasn't going to be a technician. He wasn't going to be Lennox Lewis. You know what I'm saying? I don't care who was his trainer. You know, and Malik Scott I think did a pretty good job, man. You know, I think he had him in the right mental space. One last thing I'm gonna say, and I'm kicking to JD, was I really feel like one of the big mistakes that Wilder made, in my opinion, and I didn't even bring this up because I heard this, when we talked about this last, but I didn't even bring it up because I just shook my head. I didn't want to talk about it. But they talked about all the things that he learned in the training camp, and he was like, I don't even need to use all of those. I just need to use half of that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, you really think Tyson Fury is not a pugilist that could box, that could mix it up and do everything? That's 6'9", that's 300 pounds, that has rose from the dead in life and out of life. You know what I'm saying? Like Tyson Fury is very different, and regardless of whatever, because I don't really think everything was hoopla about, all the allegations. I think, it might have been some things that might have happened that wasn't really up the spill. But you come in and you expect the best fighter, and you had a fighter that was already Tyson Fury been fighting since he was a baby. You know what I'm saying? He didn't, just watching the things you sent about, he didn't have a childhood, man. Wilder was a grown man already. This man been doing this forever. So don't, he severely underestimated Tyson Fury. And I feel like with that statement, with that quote that he made, he only need half. I really didn't like that.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm gonna kick it to JD because I think we had a separate conversation about it. I remember we were debating on the show. Nobody wants to see it, and then I began to change my mind, and I let JD know. I was like, "Yeah, I had 20 months of build up, right?" And then you really don't usually get 2 years to hype a fight that is going to get made, right? And so that along with the fact that now that we saw Joshua dethroned by Usyk, turned everybody's eyes to, okay, now who really is the best? Because Usyk still as a smaller heavyweight is not going to be seen necessarily until he beats one of those guys as the best heavyweight. But that's all I'm going to say before I kick it to JD. Go ahead, JD. What you got on
it? Man, I'm going to say on this day, I got to say that, congratulations are in order for Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Thanks.
I'm going to say both of them. I'm going to say congratulations are in order for both of them for separate reasons. For Tyson Fury, we have to salute this dude for what he's done in at least our era right now as far as the heavyweight division. Right now, you got to salute your cap to a dude who is 6'9", as heavy and as big as he is, and has the skill set that he has. I know even Tyson Fury, and you might have been alluding to this, Q, about a clip where he talked about people claiming that everything was luck for him. Yeah, and him talking about things with luck. And, a lot of people, you look at a lot of athletes who, yes, they are blessed with a certain God-given size or ability that a lot of us aren't, but you have to tip your cap to their hard work. At the end of the day, the average dude ain't walking around 6'9", 290, but at the same time, for him to be at the peak of boxing the way he is, that is a testament to all the years of boxing that he's put in to the game and into the sport. And so you have to give Tyson Fury a lot of credit. It looks like right now, there's probably not any heavyweight out there, honestly, who could really mess with him and really deal with a guy who, A, chances are he's going to be bigger than you. And then B, it's a good chance that he's probably got more skill than you. So when you couple those two things together, I think that somebody like a Tyson Fury is going to be extremely hard to defeat. I believe he's only 33 years of age. At this point, I don't see anybody in the next 2 or 3 years really being able to dethrone him if he can keep his head right and not fall off the wagon outside of the ring. And it appears like he's been able to sort of keep his head straight in between fights outside of the ring. So I salute Tyson Fury for that, man. It was an excellent performance by him. On the side of Deontay Wilder, I have to salute a dude who, at the end of the day, Tyson Fury held every advantage in the fight outside of power. Outside of one hitter quitter power, he held every advantage over Deontay Wilder. And I have to salute Deontay for going into the ring and giving us a hell of a fight and giving us his all. even better than what we saw in the last fight. And I know J-Box and Q, y'all have talked about this will be the best version of Deontay Wilder that we will ever see. It definitely was. Of course, we all could probably highlight things he needs to improve on, you know, in the future if he's going to continue boxing. But it definitely was an improved Deontay Wilder. So I got to tip my cap to him. Again, in that third round, I was out, you know, out in Tampa, out in these streets at the bar watching the fight. And I ain't gonna lie, when he went down in the third, similar to UQ, I just put my head down like, oh, man.
Oh, man. Everybody thought it was over.
I'm like, oh, no, here we go.
I done talked all this shit.
Right, but then we get to the fourth round, and I gotta salute Wilder for digging deep because by then, he was already getting tired. I think everybody already saw him starting to get winded. And so for him to dig deep and blast Fury with 2 shots to put him down, got Fury on the canvas, round up, blowing out his mouth like, whoo, whoo, like what I got hit with, right? So I got to salute Wilder for, you know, digging deep. And then again, most of the fight, you could say even after that, Wilder was probably exhausted, and he lasted until the 11th round. So
amazingly,
salute to Wilder, man. Salute to Tyson Fury. You know, I feel confident right now in saying at the end of the day, Tyson Fury is the king of the heavyweight division right now. And until somebody comes to dethrone him, Tyson Fury is king. But make no bones about it, I gotta salute Deontay Wilder because if he continues to fight, I firmly at this point believe he's definitely the second best heavyweight out there. And I'll throw this wrinkle in. I was thinking about the fight, and I was just watching how massive and how skilled Tyson Fury was. And you all know that we've interviewed different heavyweights and different boxers in general. And we've mentioned the Bridgerweight division that the WBC is coming up with, where what's it, 225 and down, like 200 to 225. And so at first, I remember when we all talked about it, we were like, kind of screw that Bridgerweight division, man. The heavyweight division is a heavyweight division. But in talking to fighters, a lot of them are proponents of it. And I start to see why, because ultimately, at a certain point, hey, man, these are some real live Goliaths out here. And Tyson Fury is the ultimate one.
I'm telling you.
And at this point, when he going to be 50, 60 pounds heavier than anybody, 50,
with
60
stamina,
pounds,
bro. With stamina. This
right,
man
with stamina heavier than anybody?
Come on,
I'm going to tell you right now.
That's his ritual.
Right, and nobody's going to be able to deal with him. So, you know, in every other division, you know, you have weight classes where it jumps up, you know, every certain amount of pounds, but in heavyweight, it's any man's game. So I get that part, but, you know, in conclusion, man, I got to salute Tyson Fury, man, king of the heavyweight division, but I also salute Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder for putting on a great show and showing that he's the second best heavyweight.
The most dangerous puncher.
Can the moderator get some?
Yeah, go ahead right in, bro.
All right. So you guys know I a lot of times I look at fights from different perspectives, but let me say this. Boxing won on so many levels, right? The heavyweight division is the apex predator, right? There was once upon a time when you were the heavyweight champ, you were the most recognized figure, baddest man on the planet. That fight on October 9th showed the world why. It rewound the clock and showed you, hey, this is why when it came to the heavyweight back in the day, why they were looked at and revered in such a light, because they were capable of producing moments like this. Now, not only did this fight produce those moments, it's probably one of the top 3 heavyweight fights of all time. You think about, I know you mentioned Riddick Bowe, Holyfield, Thriller Manila. Oh, yeah. Then you got Klitschko Joshua, and you got this one. And who knows? I mean, there's elements to it where, you know, stylistically, Joshua Klitschko was a little bit of a cleaner fight as far as tactical wise. But this fight, oh my goodness, like everybody, I thought it was over. I thought it was over in the 3rd, thought it was over in the 4th, and then the 10th round comes around. Deontay Wilder gets knocked down, and then you see then you see Fury get buckled in the 10th, and he gets saved by the bell. It was amazing. And I said this, I might have said this years ago. What probably would have had to been, because we would have been looking forward to the. No, I said this before the second fight. I said Wilder might get knocked out, and the third fight we'll see the best Wilder, but I don't know if he'll win. And Wilder could have won this fight.
Definitely.
And he could have won it in the fourth, depending on the count. We're not going to get into that just because everybody gets in the extended count. If he counts certain time, he got 12 seconds, and
that's called discretion. Seconds. It's discretion, but discretion is discretion, and at user discretion.
Yeah. So it was. I will say this one thing about the count. I mean, well, let me back up for a second. When I said boxing won because that was an amazing night. Boxing won in another way. With all these celebrities, right? You got Jake Paul, you got Anderson Silva, who was a boxer at one point, a failed boxer, and now he's back, boxing. Fury's been doing this shit since he was 10 years old. You have to be a boxer, and you have to know this game in and out. If you don't study and prepare to defend, attack, every angle of this game, you will not be the best. That's just simple and plain. There's too many people who have been doing this since their childhood, skip childhoods, right? Like Mayweather, like Fury, to practice this game and to perfect it. And they've gotten to the point where what they work on is conditioning, because everything else is ingrained.
It's muscle memory. It's
muscle memory of a sport they learned that goes against every human instinct. Everybody should, backs up a certain way. Everybody, boxing teaches you differently. So we saw on multiple levels boxing win. You saw a boxer really beat a puncher who started out was God-given skills, started out later in life, and you saw, to JD's point, the reaction. Right? He didn't, as Teddy Atlas would say, he didn't behave like a fighter in certain spots. Technically, with his heart, he responded like a warrior. And I'm speaking of Wilder. Both men did. But you could see when the rubber met the road, and I was having a conversation about this off the show. I was like, all the pressure Wilder's putting on himself. I wonder what really happens when he says, oh shit, this is not working. And I wasn't talking about his style. I'm just wondering about, does he start breathing heavy? Does he start panicking? Does he start panicking? Because that all contributes to whether you can get your second win, whether you can actually think on the fly. And I think what happened was Wilder had it together first round. I'm like, oh shit, this is a different fight. And it ended up being a different fight. But one of the things, and I know Malik Scott seems like a great guy. Wilder seems like a great guy. But there is criticism to be had. I feel like Wilder wasn't prepared as well as he should, as to the talent that he has, not the skill set, because he didn't develop it. But I saw in that fight, there was glimpses of it where you saw Wilder slip. He did it one time. He slipped Fury and pivoted, but then he had his hands down and Fury caught him. There's one time he threw a nice uppercut. And one of the things we lamented, I know, but I did personally, is Wilder's inability to do anything on the inside, whether it's smother, defend,
just knowing the right punch to throw in close quarter.
Offensively, you saw numerous times where he would get hit and then respond with okay, Fury uppercutted me. Oh, let me try that. So it's one of those things where I know Malik Scott's probably a good dude and very knowledgeable about the sport, but there were certain deficits, like the reason why Fury felt like this was going to be an easy fight, because if you ever know down, Fury knows once he throws the jab, Wilder's not going to circle away from his power hand. He's going to circle right into it. And that's why he was there for the 1-2, all second fight, all third fight. And so technically, I wish I would have seen more of that. I did like the jab work to the body early, but there's things defensively that Wilder needed to work on. Offensively, man, Wilder can put it together if he would have had Tyson Fury thinking twice. But Tyson Fury, after he weathered the storm, was able to go back to his game plan of, okay, jab him, run him into my right hand, because he's going to run right into it. So the last part to this, and this is a part that does agitate me, because it kind of goes against, I don't know, with heavyweights, it's a little different, right? The muscle, the upper body strength. And JD, you told me why they did it. and it was to, when Fury laid on him, push him off. He didn't do that shit all night. Like so that added mass didn't do anything on top of the pressure, but make him tired. And he didn't push Fury off like he did that 350 pounds, because it's one of those things to bench press. It's another one of those things to actually work on technique. And I felt like that added muscle, the pressure, I felt like Deontay Wilder was like, oh shit, I can't lose. Let's go wild here. And to his credit, man, I've never seen a fighter with more heart, more true to than what he says he is in the ring. Tyson Fury is another one. Wilder's on. Who he said he is in the ring, they both gotta believe Wilder, and you gotta respect and love him for that. I just, as a Wilder fan, I wish he had reached his full potential. But if it was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. What do you guys think about that?
Because I think Wilder has a level of arrogance, man, and that's my guy, bro. You know I love Wilder, period. You know what I'm saying? He have a level that that's why it's very important. That's why I say Malik Scott is the guy for him. And if you haven't watched his interview, I watched the first interview after the fight, and he explained that, you know, Wilder went, you know, just like we said, he went for what he know. He abandoned everything. You know, he just, you know, as far, for the most part, to a large degree, you know, and he wasn't even throwing a hook to the body. You know, I wanted Fury to have to worry about more than just the big overhand right. You know what I'm saying? Because Wilder was jabbing to the body in the other fights. You know, I mean, it was times where he jabbed to the body very well. And I had to go back and watch them. And I'm like, damn, okay. But that hook went to turning and looking real good, man. When it was throwing that height, it went to looking very, very good. And I was like, yo, if he could make Fury worry about that also, I mean, I just want him to have something else to worry about, you know, because smothering, just like we talked about, just smothering him, and he don't know what to do. He just absorbing. His legs got all of this weight on it. That's why I said he should have been squatting anyway instead of just that bench press, because your legs is what went out. You know what I'm saying? This fight,
exactly.
And also, if you saw, bro, his eardrum was bleeding again. You know what I'm saying? So he had a lot of problems, bro. And they say he broke his hand. You know, he wanted to wear the puncher's glove because Fury glove or puncher's glove, and had the horsehair and all of that. They had a whole debacle about that again. And so he wore the puncher's glove, and he said that he was very happy with the gloves because it favored him. But, you know, if you broke your hand and shattered your knuckle, you know, maybe you should have wore the regular gloves or whatever. But either way it go, amazing fight.
Yeah, amazing.
These two guys we probably will never see duplicated again, and just the way they
this is Jose this is Castillo Morales. You know, this was epic. Go ahead, JD.
And you know, I agree with you. I do think Wilder, you know, he has a level of, you know, it's a fine line in life between confident and arrogant, right? It's a real fine line, you know, between confident and arrogant. And, you know, with Wilder, it was one of those things that when he wanted to immediately go into this trilogy fight, I kind of knew that it would be problems because it's just not enough time to really make what you worked on muscle memory that would show when the fight gets tough. Like I will sit here and say, man, that first round, I think probably all boxing observers might say that might have been the smartest, best round we've ever witnessed Wilder fight in his life.
Correct.
I mean, we probably watched Wilder land probably 15 to 20 body shots in that first round. I mean, it was absolutely exquisite.
He landed on Fury whenever he wanted to.
Right, whenever he wanted to. And you could even tell in that moment in the first round that even the wheels were turning in Fury's head like, oh, this is what we doing tonight. Right. So this is what we doing tonight. But sure enough, by the time we got to the second round and some of that fatigue started to set in, he totally started to abandon all of that stuff by the time he even got to the second round. And I think another mistake for him was he kept on going up in weight, right? And the thing about going up in weight, especially when you're talking about a sport like boxing, like even I remember back when we were in Tallahassee and we were at, shout out to Lincoln Center Boxing Gym over there in Frenchtown. But I even remember back when we were there, you would really start to realize boxing is different when you get in there and you throwing punches and moving around for 3 minutes. Like it's different when you're really talking about.
Don't matter too much,
right? That weight room does not matter that much, and better yet, do you want better? Too much weight room will slow you down, or too much weight room. Heavy. Right, too much weight room will have you getting tired quicker. So I think that was another. I get why Wilder thought he had to be stronger, but I could almost imagine that's probably why we even saw him gas out even quicker. Because you're now going in there with more muscle mass, even heavier, your heaviest of your whole career. There's no way that you can go into a fight against somebody as good as Tyson Fury, and you haven't even fought any other fighters at this weight to even know how you'll respond when you get tired or be able to catch a second win. So I think there's a couple of mistakes that Wilder made. Like you said, Q, I do think Malik Scott is good for him.
You need to bring somebody else in also, though.
Yeah, I just think that he needs a few more fights to really ingrain that muscle memory in him. And now the last thing is that I think every fighter is going to have a problem with this when it comes to Tyson Fury. And I know Wilder had an issue with this when it came to sparring. There is no way in the world to get anybody who can mimic this dude at 6'9", almost 300 pounds, sparring you for 10, 11, 12 rounds. There's no way to mimic it. So it's really going to have to be somebody who brings in excellent sparring. And then when they get into the fight with Tyson Fury, they're going to have an extra gear when it gets to about that 7th or 8th round to really, really turn it up another level. Because there's nobody out there who's going to give you honest, good work that's going to compare to what it's going to feel like having a 300-pound dude weighing on you. And who's that slim.
And putting you in a headlock.
Right. All these different things and able to box that way. So, ultimately, it was a good fight and all, man. I salute the Wilder. What we saw was a dude whose skill is exquisite, and we saw another guy who literally walked in the gym later, and I would say he maximized all the tools he had. Are the tools he had enough? Nah, the tools are not enough. But he did maximize, I think, all that he had.
That's I don't know how the hell he got this far, and even in that fight, how the hell you made it to the 11th round, bro? I'm like, yo, I was worried.
He got that size heart. I really disagree. He maximized, and that was, I'm going by what Q said. I'm going by what Q said. When he quoted, "Oh, I don't need half of that stuff."
Yeah, I don't need half. I need to use half of that.
Bitch, you need all that.
You need all of that.
You need all. And so when I look at Deontay, right, Fury is probably like, yo, I am so happy you didn't learn more and you didn't take JD's advice and work on it a few times and then come back, right? Because then we're talking about a completely different Wilder, right? Somebody who's done this in real time. And I don't necessarily agree with it was all fatigue, right? I think he was getting punched in the face. And the reason why I say that is because Deontay Wilder's offense, we always knew it wasn't going to be perfect. But we never really saw, even in this fight, any improvement in his defense. So I think what happened was I don't think he necessarily on the fly understood what was happening, because even with Malik Scott, when he was in when they were back, behind stage and they were just talking, he said, "What happened?" And I know in the general sense, you're like, "Dang, what happened?" But he didn't. I don't believe he understood that Tyson Fury was jabbing him, and when he jabbed, he was moving right into his power hand, and that no matter how good your offense was, Tyson Fury knew one thing: if he jabbed you, he knew where you were going to be the next move. And that really started to set the tone. And I think it started to set in a little bit of panic in Deontay Wilder, not because he was afraid, but because he put so much pressure to win this fight. And then when he got hurt in the third, what got him up was pride, heart, determination. I ain't going nowhere. I got to win this. And so for me, I think he maximized his ability with his mindset, but his actual physical tools, that if he was more receptive and really, really took some of JD's advice and worked on a few fights and worked on that, I think we'd see a lot better Wilder. But I'm going to say something that's a hot take. I think it's time for Wilder to retire today. And I'm going to tell you why. And me and JD talked about this. Not because he's not the second best heavyweight. It's because Wilder had already talked about retirement. And Wilder's ego, he doesn't care about being the second best heavyweight. And for me, if that's the case, it's time to walk away. If you can't get Fury a fourth time, I'm gonna tell you right now, Deontay Wilder doesn't want to face anybody else. He don't want to face Usyk. He don't want to face Joshua. He don't want to face F.A. Jacobs. He don't want to face Andrew Ruiz. He wants to fight Tyson Fury again. There's no, I get the Bridgerweight.
No doubt.
I get the Bridgerweight.
I think he will fight him to get back to Fury. He not going. He don't want to retire right now. Malik Scott already said that. He said, nah, they ain't even on his plan. So he still won't heal now. So he might have to go to scenic route. Or he gonna have to go to scenic route.
Oh, he gonna have to go to scenic route.
Yeah.
But I would just, it seems so far. It's not so far out of the realm of possibility, because as opposed to my original thoughts going into early on to the third fight, the public wants
Fury
to
don't
see
want to fight him. I don't think Fury will fight him again. That's the thing. I don't think Fury will fight him again. Why? Why would he fight him again? He didn't want to fight him this time.
I think what happens, and if I'll say this scenario, say they get on a collision course to where, all right, Wilder's improved even more, and he takes out an Andy Ruiz. Let's say he gets past Usyk, right? Or let's say he beats Joshua, and then he beats Dillian White. And there's only so many heavyweights. I mean, we got a young crop that we're going to talk about a little bit later for a split second, but there's only so many at the top. And if Deontay Wilder starts beating them, I do see 2-3 years, Fury like, all right, let's run it back and let's get this big money fight. Because if the money's there, I think Fury will be there.
And to that point, J-Box, I also feel that is sort of why, even though Wilder should have waited and worked on skill before, I do think that is an element as to why he forced it. Because I think Wilder does not trust. He didn't trust that, okay, I could go take a few interim fights, and then Fury's really going to give me an opportunity another couple of years down the road, because he saw how much Fury was trying to wiggle out of just this third one. And I'm not going to lie, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if Fury gave him a fourth try. Because if Fury gave him a fourth try, we starting to get into that whole Pacquiao Marquez territory.
Right.
And as many times as he has put Fury down on that canvas, what's he at, 4 times now? I think he's dropped over the course of the trilogy, he's dropped them 4 times. I would be shocked if he gives him another shot.
I think he dropped him 3 times in the first fight.
Yeah, it might be 5. I thought it was 2 the first one. But
okay.
But I would be surprised if Fury gives him another shot to blast him again. So, it's one of those things. I don't think he'll retire. J-Box, to your point, man.
I was Fury, I damn sure wouldn't give him that shot. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I can see your perspective as far as, Tyson Fury he's the top dog. He's the top dog. And so will any of these other heavyweights really get Deontay up to really, really get ready to fight them the way Fury would? I don't think so, but I'm not gonna lie, I do think that from the same heart that we saw Wilder show in that ring, I don't believe a Wilder, when you see a guy who has a heart like that, will let the last image that the public sees of him be him getting knocked out by Tyson Fury. So I think he will fight on, whether it's 1 or 2 more fights, and then maybe if he takes an L to one of these other younger fighters, then you might start to see Wilder like, all right, maybe I might need to go ahead and tap out.
And see, I don't for one second believe that Wilder wouldn't give us one more fight. I mean, I would think he would give us a retirement fight. I mean, and I'll use this sports analogy, this cross sports analogy. What if you told Michael Jordan, right, or Kobe Bryant, RIP, hey, look, man, you're going to have a great team every year, but the best you're going to be able to do is lose in the finals. You want to keep playing? You ain't going to never win it. Not because you won't be able to overcome your challenge, but you won't get the opportunity to compete to actually win. As soon as you get to the finals game, they automatically award the other guy a championship. And the reason why I say that is because you guys don't think there'll be a fourth fight. And so my point is, in Deontay Wilder's mind, he wants to be number one. One name, one face. That's what he wants.
One name, one face.
And with Fury out there, only way to get it is through Fury at this point. We've all conceded he's the king. And so we got guys, which leads me to